This is Trade Misconception, where we put our misconceptions on the table and we trade it for knowledge. So I want to get all my knowledge seekers out there and we can delve deep into these wonderful topics that I have. So today I wanted to talk about the issue with floodplains and how they affect our society, how the government actually funds and subsidizes people's flood insurance throughout the country. So let's get started. I have this first article from Politico, and it pretty much talks about the government's hidden housing subsidy for the rich. Now, this goes deeper into the National Flood Insurance Program. So, this subsidized flood insurance that is afforded to people who live in high-risk flood zones, it actually, according to this article, it largely helps well-off homeowners and is $24 billion underwater. So, yeah, I'm thinking of high-end beach real estate and all that. They massively benefit from this flood insurance program that the government helps subsidize. So right now, FEMA is actually in the process of going through and updating all the flood maps. And it's going to get to a point where, since they've been having a hard time actually funding this program, I believe that it's going to get to the point where they're going to start cutting spending on this program. And I think very soon people will actually start to pay the real cost for the flood insurance, or they'll have to go without, which is going to be a bad situation for those people. So yeah, let's see what's going on here. So in 1968, that's when the flood insurance program was started. It was after Department of Housing and Urban Development study. They've recommended the federal government provide flood insurance. So it says, as of 2016, the National Flood Insurance Program has over 5 million policies in force and saves policyholders around $3 billion annually. That is huge. And the thing is, if there is some damage on the property or anything like that, this is to save the homeowners there some money, because we know that the private insurance companies, if the insurance wasn't subsidized, these people's insurance rates would go through the roof after their first claim. We all know how these insurance companies work, and you don't need them for the longest time, but as soon as you do need them, they're going to hold it against you, and they're going to market against you to use their services. So it is currently $24 billion in debt. Future costs will be much higher. Now, this is why they're going to start updating this floodplain map, and I believe that they're going to start, telling people that they have to build their houses somewhere, especially if they start claiming, on this property, and start to make insurance claims and all that the government has to partially pay out. There is actually a story about Native American a small tribe down in a Louisiana island that was actually relocated due to the rising sea levels. Here it is. Actually, it was a sinking island. Yeah, this island will cease to exist. Over the last 6 decades, more than 98% of Isle de Jean Charles, however you say that, has vanished into the Gulf of Mexico, leaving a frail strip of land just 2 miles along the quarter and a quarter mile wide. Yeah, and the government actually had a bunch of the people move from this island. It says a $48 million plan to move the entire community out of harm's way and build a new settlement. Yeah, I think that this is going to start to become a bigger problem in the future, especially, given the inability to fund this program, or, the deficits that this program has created. And we know that they're probably going to start to make drastic cuts. We already know what's going on right now with this whole situation with the bugs. So let's see what else we can find. Honestly, probably makes it easier to, it will be more popular to cut because it does, disproportionately benefit people who are, upper income. Now, I wanted to kind of go through and show everyone how to look up, if they live near a flood zone, near a floodplain, whatever. Because you could go on any local GIS, Geographic Information System, and or Geographic Information Software, and you can actually look at and see all the floodplains in the area. I just picked out a random one, so we're gonna go look at the floodplains in this county and see what we can find. So we're on the county website. I just Googled that county in GIS. So now we're going to do this. See if they have one for flood. Downloadable PDF maps. And then we're going to go to flood hazard area map. Right here. This pretty much shows you everything. So this is the new 100-year floodplain area effective 2007. So that's when it was last updated. So you can read the map legend. You can sort of see the new 100-year floodplain area. And this will show you all the different the new floodplain areas around. So this is a good way to check if your house may be close to that path and if you could be affected, by this policy, because it may come to a point where if you live in one of these areas that they draw out a new floodplain map, you'll have to get flood insurance, or you'll be a major risk. They may even affect something with your homeowner's insurance in general. So just wanted to make people aware of that. I mean, we'll talk about the impediments to building on an area that is a floodplain and how it can actually affect property values, and in some areas it actually affects, the county or the city municipality actually providing clean water. So I wanted to point out this little story about this town down in Texas called Sand Branch. And yeah, it's a poor, largely African American community just outside of Dallas. They have to rely on, donations of clean water, or if they do get water, it's not going to be the cleanest and highest quality there. Some people over there actually have manual well pumps, but that's one of the issues about building an area in a floodplain, and that's where this was built, was in a floodplain. And there are many other areas like this in the country. And the ironic thing is, they're actually close to a water treatment facility. So, yeah, it's not a good situation going on in this community and others around the country. So let's see. Yep. It says Sand Branch has never been financially viable enough for the city of Dallas to subsume and provide water, and in any case, the town sits on a floodplain, which since the 1970s has pinioned it with federal rules that limit development. Yep. And that's another issue, is that if you are in a floodplain, it is going to be limited development in that area. So there are going to be a lot of situations with government intervention. They're not going to... They're generally trying to dissuade people from building in those areas. And this is sort of where it comes into just bad development comes into play here, because you have a lot of areas of the country that are just overbuilt in these floodplains, and what makes it worse is that some of these areas, are becoming so overdeveloped that they're, building up a lot of concrete and other non-porous surfaces that are actually starting to shift floodplains and how the water moves in the community, especially when there's torrential storms or whatever. So I wanted to fill in everyone on floodplains and kind of inform people that FEMA is going to be updating the floodplain maps, and this will affect people and the flood insurance that they will pay on their houses. So these new floodplain maps will cause some disruption of communities in the future, and it will limit developments. It will affect real estate prices in these areas, and it's not going to be good for the people living in these communities coming up. And if the government starts to slash the subsidization of these programs, then that's going to be huge for the people in these areas, because they aren't even paying close to market rate of what they would be paying if the government wasn't subsidizing part of their flood insurance. And I do think that we will start seeing more cuts in government spending. So I wanted to update everyone with that. Tell me your thoughts on this situation. I would love to hear, what people think about this situation, and if they have any great information to bring to the table, that would be awesome. Leave your comments below. Thank you.